Hey, everybody. Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. He's Chris Halleck. This is Double Shot of Steelers presented by FanDuel. We are happy to have you here. Neither of us is where we would normally be today. Chris is at home because he kind of had the day off, at least from going to the facility. I went to the Steelers facility, covered practice, have all kinds of stuff to share from there. And we're going to talk about that today. Why am I here? This is my home. Because our internet went out down at our downtown HQ/shop/studio. So just came here. We can wing it. We can do anything, right, Chris? It's our show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the beauty of live YouTube. Sometimes things go right and smooth. Sometimes things don't. And when they don't, you just laugh it off and you keep going and give the people what they want. So let's talk about football. Let's talk about Cam Heyward and whether he's actually going to play football or not.
I got to tell you, Chris.
Yeah.
And I texted you from the locker room about a minute or so before he came over because the reporters, all of us who'd been there, were told Cam's going to talk today. Okay, cool. So Cam comes over, and I kind of gave you the indication, like I just thought he was going to say, yeah, of course I'm playing, because he was a full participant in practice. He's been a full participant in practices for a while now. His teammates, his coaches, his head coach, everybody has said he's going to play. Absolutely. Certainly. That's been the nature of the dialogue here. Okay. And today he was like, So it sounds to me like he's just hoping that something happens between now and New Jersey. Now, this is not without precedent. Troy Polamalu signed an extension on the tarmac for the charter. No, for real.
Yeah.
They were heading to a road game, and they got Troy signed right then and there. Maybe he's hoping for something. I asked Cam. Well, here instead of talking about it, here's what Cam had to say when I asked a couple of questions about this. Cam, have there been any actual talks?
There is. I can't really divulge what's going on, but there's been communication on both sides, and we'll see what happens.
Do you feel like if something were not to get worked out by Sunday, that maybe it could in the future? You know what I mean? Is that something that you've considered?
Just going off of precedent, it's never been something where they like to touch contracts in season. That's the assumption I've always gone off. If something's different, so be it. But I don't make those calls.
I got to tell you, Chris, that intonation of his, that expression of his was no different than what he was doing in Latrobe.
No.
Not even the tiniest bit. And I'm not sure what to take from this. I don't believe for a split second that Cam is, full of it or trying to cause, trouble or maybe, bluffing or anything like that. But I also don't get the impression from being around him today that he's anything less than drop dead serious. I don't know I don't know how else to take it. If he's acting, that's some pretty good acting chops he's got.
I don't think he's acting. I really do think. Listen, there are a number of things that Cam Heyward that we know about Cam Heyward, and they all can be true. Like in this instance, number one, he's not a liar. He's not going to go up there and he's not going to just spew stuff that's just not true. He also cares very, very much about his legacy with the team. He cares very much about what the fans think of him, but he also cares equally as much, or at least in the same ballpark, as being respected for what he does. And throughout his entire career, he's been overlooked by a lot of people. He's been an all-pro player, and we talked about it. I think it was last week on this show. He's in the NFL top 100, which is voted on by the players, but he was like 80 something. He was like 85th or something like that.
83.
Like That's not very high for a guy who was literally voted, at least by the writers, as being one of the 2 best interior defensive linemen, like in the league. Like that is disrespect, and he doesn't like to be disrespected for what he does. And so it's a difficult juggling act for him because he wants to be respected and he wants to be paid for what he does. But he also doesn't want the fans thinking terribly of him. And so the part that got me was the whole talking about like how he's had really difficult conversations with his family. That was the part to me that was like, okay, how serious is this? Like, is he actually going to go into Sunday if something's not done and actually tell the guys, you know what, I'm not playing?
Well, that was what he said today. For anybody who didn't see the full accounting of that, which you can find on our app, DK Pittsburgh Sports. Everything that he said of note is there, and that was one of them. Another thing that came up was whether or not he ever had the option to seek bonuses from the Steelers. That's what a lot of people, myself included, have criticized both Cam or I guess his agent for saying, listen, if you wanted to make sure that you got paid in the event of an exceptional performance, they have a vehicle for that. It's called bonuses. He said something in the group setting about how the Steelers just don't do that, except for quarterbacks. You haven't seen a whole lot of guys get bonuses around here. But in that answer, I wasn't 100% sure, Chris, that he was saying that the Steelers said no. There's a difference, meaning did you actually ask? And they said no. I happened to run into him a little bit later and just asked for clarification. Did they say no? He confirmed that. So he was just making sure that was there. I don't understand. I mean, listen, the Steelers have, I think, carried themselves okay in this whole context, right? I don't understand why you would have bonuses. And we know, for example, for a fact that Aaron Rodgers has extensive performance, mostly team-based, from what I understand, in his contract. Why you have that for quarterbacks and you don't have it for other positions? It's not as if quarterbacks need more favors. I mean, quarterbacks are already taking up 1/3 of teams' payrolls in some cases.
Yeah, well, the thing about the quarterback is it's the most important position in sports. When you have a legit quarterback, you have a chance to win almost regardless of what else is on the roster. I mean, there are still people talking about the Cincinnati Bengals possibly being not just a playoff contender, but some sort of dark horse Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Just because of Joe. Just because Burrow and the wide receivers. Yeah.
Yeah, but just because of what they have at quarterback, regardless of the fact that they might have the worst defense in the league. Like
and offensive line and the whole thing,
But also remember, the same thing was being said about the Steelers in 2015, 2016, around that time, before the defense really, really became something that was actually respectable. Like 14, 15, 16, that defense was not good. But because they had Ben and Brown and Bell and all they had the killer bees, they had a great offensive line. Super Bowl contender, possibly dark horse Super Bowl, and in 16 they even made it all the way to the AFC Championship. It wasn't until 17 that they actually had a decent defense, and then went 13-3 because they were a phenomenal team. And the only reason they didn't really advance because of Shazier, that's a whole story for another time. But the quarterback just will get that kind of a treatment. Now, my biggest concern with Cam Heyward in this instance is if that was the case, if you were convinced that you were going to go out and have an all-pro season, don't sign a multi-year extension. Sign a 1-year extension so that you're still under contract for another year. So you're not going into a season in which you're like, this is my last year, I'm going to be a free agent. No, sign a 1-year extension and be like, give me this amount of money. And then we can come right back here next summer and we can renegotiate after I become an all-pro. That's the way it should have been handled then. But because you signed a 2-year extension, he talked about it. He talked about the way the Steelers operate. He knows the Steelers don't negotiate contracts in the middle of a season. Like once the ball is kicked off on Sunday, Steelers don't negotiate contracts until they're done playing football. He knows that. He also knows the Steelers don't negotiate contract extensions when there's more than 1 year left on a contract. The only exception they've made is for a quarterback.
Let me throw this at you as well here, and we're going to go to a break. I mentioned Troy signing on the tarmac. And that was done, as they're heading to the plane. For those of you who've used the FBO Center at Pittsburgh International Airport, you'll know that you can actually walk out onto the tarmac there. This is where the charters are and everything. So you can actually do it out there. But here's the thing. They're flying there tomorrow after the walkthrough. I can tell you that I saw Cam in the parking lot leaving today, meaning after this no more than 4 or 5 minutes, because I only had enough time to go get a banana in the cafeteria when by the time I came out and ran into Cam out there, and he wasn't hanging around to try to negotiate anything. Okay. So what's your window? He's going to be there for the walkthrough. That's common sense. And then you're just going to the airport. That's it. That's it. So the time that's left here to get anything done, there's not much to it. This is, I think, a little bit more interesting than I might have thought it was going to be even this morning, going to the facility. Guys, when we come back, we're going to be taking some of your questions here on the show on this Friday edition of Double Shot of Steelers, presented by FanDuel. Hey guys, if you're planning to see a Steelers game, use the Game Time app to get your tickets. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone if you set it into your app alerts. The app is easy to use. No surprise fees at checkout. You can see your seat view before buying, and you're getting legit tickets delivered on time. If you're not much of a planner, you can get last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app and enter the code DK Steelers into your app profile to get $20 off your first purchase. Welcome back to Double Shot of Steelers, presented by FanDuel. Football season is finally here. It's time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl the way Chris does, lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, the FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so you can join in on all the action. Way to go, Halleck. Way to make it into the way to make it into the, like, everybody's good graces here by picking the Steelers to win the Super Bowl.
For those of you who read my season prediction on our app, you would know that DK is full of it right now. That is not what I predicted whatsoever. I predicted 10-7 and losing in the first round of the playoffs. Which I know I went on a really big reach there for what the Steelers are going to do this year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that here. And I see most of the sentiment remains against Cam's stance. I don't want to say against Cam because that just sounds so weird. He's still Cam.
Oh no, I think some people are going to be at least burned for a long time.
I get that, but I don't know, Chris. I mean, if he signs on the tarmac tomorrow and he's out there on Sunday and the Steelers win the game, if you think anybody's going to be talking about this by the middle of next week or holding some kind of grudge, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I would agree with that. I would agree that, like, well, first off, it really, I mean, there are certain sayings you just don't want to go like, oh, let's just revert to a cliche, but the cliche of winning, cures everything. It really does. If they go out there and they beat the pants off the Jets and Cam Heyward has 2 sacks by himself, fans, by the time Wednesday rolls around, they're still going to be riding that high a little bit. But I do think, listen, again, I brought it up I think it was yesterday. How long did it take for Penguins fans, like local Pittsburgh fans, to get over Jaromir Jagr and everything that went down when that
20
happened?
years.
Long time.
20 that it's almost exactly 20 years. It wasn't until the Penguins made the move to go over to the Czech Republic and talk to him about coming back into the fold and retiring his number and all that other stuff that fans were kind of like, all right.
I mean, seriously though, it's and this is not the same situation at all. But if it does get to the point where the Steelers call his bluff and they say, no, you and I both know the Steelers were not pleased at all with Cam doing this. Like they just weren't. They were like, dude, you just signed the contract last summer. Not pleased with this. If they call his bluff and say, no, we're not negotiating, we're happy to renegotiate after you've been paid another roster bonus next March, let's renegotiate another extension, whatever. And if they call his bluff and he says, yeah, I'm not playing then. That's going to do some damage.
That's going to do damage. There's no question about that. Steeler Girl in Hawaii asks, why keep practicing if you're not planning on playing? It doesn't make sense. So what kind of a threat is that? I'm going to share with you today that Isaiah Loudermilk confirmed for me in a one-on-one conversation that he was out there with the ones. Now, when I say that, he's out there as the third interior defensive lineman. And that really shouldn't surprise anybody who's followed our reporting cumulatively over this training camp and preseason. Isaiah has been used in that regard and that role for, I guess now about a month, 6 weeks, where you have Isaiah here, you have Keanu Benton here, and you have Cam there. Now, Derek Harmon was supposed to be in there. What you have is Loudermilk basically taking Harmon's place, with the Steelers emphasizing stopping the New York run. Now, I say that, and Cam's a full participant in these things. So the team is preparing for Cam to face that opponent. And in this, one of, if not the most important facet of what they need to achieve defensively. So I would be looking at this Steeler Girl from a different prism here. It's not the hold in, hold out, do this, do that thing. It's what impact would you be having on your team by pulling the practice plug on them when you know they don't have Harmon and you know they'd have to promote who? Chris, who would move up there? Y.A. Black? Rookie?
Yeah. Black is most likely the next guy.
Now RDE.
Yeah, at defensive end. Yes, that would be the next guy to come up. So if Cam does not play Sunday, you're looking at a starting three on the inside when they're in their base of Keanu Benton at nose tackle, and then most likely Isaiah Loudermilk and Y.A. Black as your two defensive ends. Now, that should be a pretty decent tandem or trio when it comes to stopping the run. You're going to take a hit in terms of being able to rush the passer. But yeah, that would be listen, the numbers speak for themselves. It's the same thing that we've talked about whenever TJ Watt is not on the field versus when he's on the field. When when TJ Watt's on the field, the Steelers win a lot more football games than when he's not on the field. When Cam Heyward is not on the field, the win-loss isn't as affected, but other stats within the game absolutely are. It's like 1.5 yards difference of what they give up against the run, like on average, when Cam's on the field versus when he's not on the field. Like
exactly.
It's significant. So even if you like Y.A. Black and like Keanu Benton and you like those guys, they're not Cam Heyward. So that's why he's doing this.
William asks both of us, what's the number that Cam's looking for? The one thing that I've heard is that basically Cam would be okay with just taking whatever this amount of money is, guaranteeing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could still see a pay raise, but guaranteed money is definitely a bugaboo.
He brought it up again.
Yeah.
He brought it up again. To quote him directly, he said, they could cut me right now.
Yeah.
And he wasn't exaggerating. They're not going to do that.
No.
But I feel like that's his thing. He didn't want to. I'm not going to try to justify it or reason it. We've been over all of this stuff.
Just to educate everybody on the whole guaranteed stuff. Everybody will hear he's already been paid like 13+ million this year. That was a roster bonus in March, and he's right. The Steelers could have cut him before then, and he would not have gotten that money. That money was not guaranteed before the league year started. The roster bonus he's due next March is not guaranteed. His salary this year is not guaranteed. His salary next year is not. He has no guaranteed money left. That is the big issue here. And I do think what he's actually being paid is another issue, but the fact that none of the money that was left after last year's deal was guaranteed is a major issue. It usually is.
We'll see. I don't remember that the Steelers are also sitting on a whole ton of cap space. So it's not like Omar can't just, whip out the pen there on the tarmac tomorrow.
Yeah.
And get something done.
I mean, cut him a check for $5 million and
but
call today.
But you know what they can do also, Chris? You don't have to lose face if you're the Steelers. You don't have to set any kind of precedent here, like a bad precedent, dangerous non-quarterback precedent. You could just say to everybody, and actually they're not even going to make a statement now as I think about it, because Omar stops talking as of like now, right?
It's true.
He's getting on the plane and the game starts on Sunday. He's out for the season. You don't hear from him again.
No, we won't hear from him until the combine next year.
And it's not like the Steelers are going to have a press conference. We've signed Cam. That ain't happening either.
Nope.
They don't have to say a thing.
No.
They don't have to make an announcement at all. They don't have to express any. There's no statement. There's no pulling the jersey over his head or anything like that. It's just he's here. He's playing. We got it done. Cam can do his little victory lap when he meets with us in New Jersey after the game on Sunday, and that's that. So I don't think this has to be some big dramatic thing here. No grudge, says Pittsburgh fan 412 if he plays, and that's that's what I think here. Mel thinks I'm full of it. Matthew says that he blames Cam's agent. Nick says Steelers win. Cam doesn't play. Is there any way that his legacy can come back from that? I don't think he's going to sit out this game.
Well, I mean, the way he spoke today was the reason why, like yesterday, I said there's like a 5% part of me that's like, not so sure, Now he's gone through a typical Cam Heyward week. He practiced on Wednesday fully, was practicing with the team, with the first team defense. Thursday had a vet day. No, that day off was nothing to do with his contract. It was a very typical vet day, rest day.
The same thing today. Full participant.
Yep.
In every capacity and officially listed as such, which is also worth noting. Robert tries to compare this to Barry Bonds. Bonds cheated, dude. Let's not get nuts here. I mean, this guy, he cheated. He cheated the game. He cheated the game of its most important record. And cheated, by the way, a great and legitimate home run king, who to me is still the home run king, and the one and only Henry Aaron. So no, just no. Michael says, I didn't hear your 5 things you'd like to see on Daily Shot like you did for last year's games. Meaning the morning podcast. I forgot about that. Can we hear them here? You just want to put me on a spot? Come up with
list them
5
now.
Things. Maybe since I forgot about them, maybe I'll do something that's a little bit special between now and then on the app tomorrow here. Craig asks, DK, let's say Cam does sign a contract. What does that contract look like? I believe we just went over that. I think it's just taking a lot of the money that's on the existing contract. That's where you save face if you're the Steelers, and just saying, we'll guarantee it. Of course we're guaranteeing it. It's Cam Heyward, blah, blah, blah. And like Chris said, maybe there's something that you can throw in, whether it's a raise, whether it's something that's toward another additional year. Who knows?
I mean, it could. I mean, I'm not an agent, so I'm not going to sit here and try to negotiate for Cam. That's not my job. I'm a reporter. But if I had to try to guess a way through or try to come up with something that I think Cam would find acceptable, and I have not talked to Cam about this, so he may hear this and go, yeah, Chris, you don't know what you're talking about. But it might be a small raise this year. He's already gotten paid. At the end of the season, he's going to end up making, after his salary, a total of $14.25 million. So let's say,
okay.
Yeah, let's say you give him a $5 million raise this year. You make it almost 20. And then guarantee the roster bonus next year. And then add on a slightly higher salary that he can possibly make. Possibly. It's not guaranteed, but at least the $12 million plus roster bonus that's coming next March is guaranteed no matter what. So at that point, it's not even a roster bonus. It's just you're guaranteed that money. Something along those lines. I don't know. Again, I'm not part of the negotiations, but I do think that guaranteed money and needing a raise are the two big things here.
We're going to take one more on Cam here, and then take a couple other questions, hopefully on something else here, so we don't get all stuck on one thing that might be resolved by tomorrow morning for all we know. Dale Pinney asks, and this will close this out, does Cam understand how bad he looks right now for the fans? Just curious. The answer to that is yes. He brought that up today. He was familiar with, I told you guys many times, he's got the rabbit ears and the antennas on top of each other. He's very, very, very much aware of what people say, what people think, for better or worse. He again elected to bring up Connor Heyward and the way that he's been included in some of this. And he said, I really don't get that. My brother's got nothing to do with this. What kind of player he is and what he puts in on and off the field has nothing to do with my situation. I'm a big boy, come at me, but don't do that. I'm a brother and I'm a family man too. And I'm going to say that. So he gets it, but I'm telling you, he sold me. Okay. I really feel like there's a possibility that he just won't play.
Yeah.
He seemed legitimately, what's the word I'm looking for here? Morose. Okay. Like well, I don't know that I have a better word for that. If anyone wants to type up the definition of morose, the official definition, we'll put it up on the screen here, but I really feel like it fits. Dwight Jefferson asks, so Omar's sitting on around $20 million in cap space. Is that rubbing it in Cam's face?
No.
No, because when you do this math, Cam's accounted for, meaning Cam's actual salary.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's going to give Cam a $20 million raise. So you're not doing that for any reason other than he's going to keep 5 of that going into the season minimum. Now it looks like he's going to keep a lot more, but also remember that in the National Football League, you can carry cap space over next season.
That's the big thing, because a lot of people will see that and like, why didn't the Steelers spend all the money they possibly could? Well, because that money can also carry over to next year, and you can use that to, I don't know, sign a really big time wide receiver or sign something. I don't know, but that money will not go to waste.
Might be a quarterback.
Could be.
Could be.
I think they're going to draft one, but still could be.
You can draft one and still need, to go get somebody.
Yet.
Grayson Brown drops $20 on us here. Appreciate that. And says, no more tit for tat, negativity, hypotheticals. Football is back. Be optimistic and enjoy the journey. I believe the Steelers will win the AFC North over the Super Bowl favorite Ravens. That is a statement. Both of those, actually. No team has won the AFC North 3 years in a row. Is that accurate?
I think I have to go back through, but that sounds like it would be true. I mean, seriously.
Just between these two teams.
No, I think
neither the Steelers nor the Ravens really had some kind of extended streak, right?
No, because the Bengals have always had those years thrown in there in which they've been the team to to storm forward. I mean, shoot, so the AFC North started in 2002. Even the year the Steelers won the Super Bowl in 2005, the Bengals won the division that year because the Steelers were a wild card. And even like 2007, 2008, yeah, the Steelers were like winning the division back then, but the Ravens obviously kept. No, I don't think any team. I haven't actually looked it up, but it sounds like it would make sense. 1,000%.
Casas drops $20 to make sure that we get one more in. It says this Cam situation's making me nervous. Really need him on Sunday. So you need him all season.
Oh, yeah.
Casas also says, I'm excited to be in town next week for the home opener. And DK, when I come to visit next week, I need a list of places that I have to visit when I'm in town. Well, number one on that list is 224 Fifth Avenue right here downtown. That's our place. And you can, I'm there late in the afternoons, like around the time that we do the show and so forth. And from there until close, the boss is in there from 12 to 6. We're open Tuesday through Saturday. And from there, we'll get you the guide. We do that for a lot of people, by the way. When they stop in, it's like, where should we go next? Tons to see downtown, tons to experience down here. There's also the incline and all kinds of good stuff. We'll have both doors wide open for you here. Now, let's see what we can turn, how we can turn everybody's attention into something that's more football-ish. William points out that Cleveland has not won the AFC North. There's a stunner.
They have not. Despite
winning the Super Bowl every March.
They've made the playoffs how many times? Like 2, 3?
They're either tied with the Pirates in the same stretch or they have even less.
Well, the Browns...
The Pirates have the 3 playoff appearances since 1992. To 93, actually.
Yeah, well, the Browns, we know that they lost to the Steelers in 2002 in the playoffs. That was the Renegade game. That was the gigantic comeback. We know the Browns beat the Steelers in 2020. I'm trying to think of another time the Browns made the playoffs. I mean, shoot, man, they haven't won a division title since the late 80s. And that goes back to AFC Central days. Like that, this predates the AFC North. So, yeah.
Andrew Watkins comes through with our morose definition of a sour temper, severe, sullen, and austere. What's austere mean?
Oh, that's another word you have to.
This is gonna keep like
keep googling.
What is austere? Sounds like a word that we all really should know. The PEF says YA Black is quickly becoming one of my favorites already. I really want to see him have a good game Sunday. That's a great subject to bring up here, Chris. Independent of Cam, let's just say Cam's playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of snap count can we expect from Black? Because let's be real here. There could be multiple reasons that he didn't get a ton of snaps in the preseason.
In terms of an actual, it's better to go with percentage. It's hard to say, but I will say I do know that the Steelers want to have a rotation. They don't want Cam Heyward being on the field 90% of the time. Now, shoot, man, last year he was barely on the field 70% of the time. And I don't think they want to increase that. I think they want to be, again, the big emphasis here from Carl Dunbar has been keeping guys like Cam Heyward and TJ Watt fresh so that whenever the critical third downs come, when the big critical downs come late in halves, like second quarter, fourth quarter, that those guys are as fresh as possible. So if you can win more often with the Isaiah Loudermilks and with the YA Blacks on first down, second down, earlier in games, that is a win. That's a big win. So I think ideally Black will get 20-30% of the snaps, defensive snaps, something like that. But it's hard to say at this point, especially with it being like a 5th round rookie that's not just anointed as a starter right away.
Jeff asks, how many targets do we think that Darnell Washington will get against the other Jets? I have a feeling I'm going to be disappointed in this one. Like, I want to see him get involved. I want to see him stay involved. I don't know the extent to which he will. I do believe that he's going to be a very real, possibly prominent red zone target.
Yep.
But when you're talking about the base offense, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of three tights. Okay, I just don't.
No, I think you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel this year. I think you'll see the occasional 13, and I think at the end of the season they will probably lead the league in 13 personnel. But that still doesn't mean they were in 13 personnel 15% of the time last year. I don't see that number being markedly larger. Maybe a little bit. Maybe it increases by a point or two in percentage, but I do think Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith are going to be utilized now again, like between the 20s, or at least until you get into the red zone. I do think it's going to be a lot of Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, but I think once you get into the red zone, even or maybe even high red zone, like 25 or like just outside of it, like 25-yard line, something like that. That's when you'll start to see Darnell Washington a little bit more, I think. Aaron Rodgers has spoken very highly of Darnell Washington. And I after seeing what I saw in training camp, I don't understand if the Steelers get onto the 2-yard line that they shouldn't just throw 3 straight fades to Darnell Washington. He's going to catch one of them.
Yeah. Lifted ones. He gets to me here a little bit here. He says, how likely, DK, is it that fans and media are blowing the Cam situation out of proportion because they're bored? Chris, what was my intention in going to practice today? I know people say stuff like this because they don't ever get any pushback on it, and everybody's going to go, yeah, the media thing, harumph, harumph. Do you think that I sat in my car today and drove over to the south side from here and thought, this Cam thing, I want to write more about it. I want to talk more about it 2 days before the game. Why? What? And I'll take this further. Do you think that it's like sells clicks or whatever other phraseology that people use? It does not.
It does not.
We're talking about it today because it's 2 days before the game, and Cam did a really convincing job today of making it clear that he's still leaving open the possibility of not playing, in which case that would be a very, very big deal. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, was Cam approached by the media today? No. Cam told the Steelers he was going to talk today. Okay. I was in there. I was talking at the time with Calvin Austin, Isaiah Loudermilk, had a few words with TJ Watt. And then I see, Cam has gotten dressed. It's time for Cam to talk. And I went over there and held the camera up and whatever else here. And I've got lifted ones here saying that I'm blowing it out of proportion. It's just, no. If you don't want Cam to be a villain in this, but you'd rather have the media be a villain in this, just say that. Okay? Say what you actually want to say. Make me a villain. I couldn't care less.
I'm not going to speak for other reporters, but I can tell you that, when we're all watching practice, there's conversations that happen. And I can tell you right now, from my own barometer, everybody is so sick and tired of talking about
this story.
So yeah, everybody's tired of it. Again, I'm not going to speak for the
lifted one says it's a legitimate question. No, it isn't, because
not.
There's common sense involved too. There's common sense in this. You're literally you're stating something that is is a reflexive harumph from the masses, but the only difference is that you're saying it here to two people who actually cover the team. So you're going to get some pushback here. Like Mike says, well, you got to meet the players today.
That's going to be the thing that always gets me. You get to meet the players. God. Everybody's tired of talking about this.
All right, football. Lester Holmes says, I hope Roman Wilson goes 6 for 115 and a touchdown so that fans can stop complaining about WR2. Lester, I'm out of the predictions business, but That will not happen.
Oh my gosh, that's a heck of a line for any receiver.
Not for CD Lamb. Come on, somebody had to do it.
He's on my fantasy, or on one of my fantasy teams too.
Yeah,
That's
because you're expecting him to get that percentage of the targets, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, he still had a pretty decent night. He still had, I think, he gave me 18 points, but
Lamb
could have been more. Yeah, could have been more.
I want to say he finished with 7 catches.
Yeah, 7 catches for 110 yards. So,
and I want to say George finished with 3 for like 5 yards or something.
And a lot of blocks
30.
he did, and a lot of blocks he decided to not execute.
Yeah, he's too good for that.
Yeah.
When you're the third leading receiver on your team, and he was third, he behind the tight end that Dallas has. That's worth all the headaches.
You know what's really funny is that the comments on the Friday Insider that I wrote, which I happen to have a little note in there about Pickens in there, and it's just so funny how people are like, "Wow, Pickens was a problem for the Cowboys." I was like, it's almost like we've been saying this. Like, there's a reason why the Steelers were willing to move on for getting a third round pick in return.
Somebody asked me a question about Calvin Austin. I promise I'll put it on a screen. For real. Lifted One says he's still at this. I'm not trying to be offensive, but this story has dragged on this entire offseason. Why has it dragged on? To think about there's correlation and there's causation here. Okay. The media didn't create this story. Cam's agent contacted a reporter who doesn't even cover the team and leaked this out, at which point Cam then had to respond to it, and then everybody had to respond to it. This is not something where, me and Chris are sitting around going, let's drum up some nonsense about Cam.
No.
That's just not how it works.
No, we literally cover the news of the team. I'm a beat reporter. I cover the news of the team.
And even now, I'm looking through the chat here, and I asked you guys for questions about something else. And I'm
what's everybody asking about?
Cam and Cam and Cam and Cam. Here, Mike he forces a question on Cal. He says, "Oh no," he points out that he already asked one earlier. I missed it. Says I did about Cal's recovery on the injury. Cal is doing great. Cal is ready to go. Whatever it was he had an abdominal issue early in camp. I believe that Cal is going to be 100% for this game on Sunday, and you just bought me an excuse to play for you one glorious minute with Cal that I had today. Calvin Austin, how excited are you?
Very excited. Many times, game week is always a very exciting thing to get back out there with the guys. It's a new season, so a new.
What is this? Nerves? What is this?
Nah, I just always.
Who am I talking to here?
It's just me, man. I'm good. Just very, very excited.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. How about the offense in general and all the different weapons that you have?
Yeah, obviously gonna be our first display going out there as like a whole unit, So
yeah.
It's the first opportunity to show the world what we've been practicing, and I think it's gonna be something special. We've been having a lot of work, a lot of talks and everything, so I think it's gonna be something good.
It's different to take it out there in anger, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Stadium and all that other stuff.
Yeah, but I say Coach T always says like stuff practicing stuff like football, but the game is the game, and so anytime we get to play the game, it's a good opportunity to put on display everything we've been doing and practicing.
The best is Cal getting a little bit quiet because he has Darnell on one side of him, and he's got Freiermuth on the other, and he's trying to like low key it. So I had to call him out on that. Like, come on, what is this? Like, who am I talking to here? And he had a sense of humor about it. He's wonderful. Yes, he's ready to make an impact on this team. Chris, could he be someone who makes an unusual impact on the offense? Meaning not necessarily through the passing game.
I mean,
who else would do that?
Jonnu Smith.
You'd have Jonnu Smith doing reverses or end arounds and stuff like that?
It's possible. He's not a speed guy, but man, if that dude gets in front of a cornerback full speed, that's a lot bigger of a guy than a wide receiver. That's why it's funny to watch cornerbacks just cripple and or just completely collapse in fear when Darnell Washington is running at them in full speed. It's just, I don't even know what to do. Like, and John, who's not Darnell Washington, but he's a lot bigger than most receivers.
Rick asks, from 1 to 10, how much help does Broad need? How much is he going to get? I'll say again that I'm not into predictions, but I'll tell you that Broad's not performing like someone who's going to need to be babysat, and they're not going to scheme him into being babysat. However, you never know what's going to happen in a stadium on a Sunday in a game. You could have another episode like what we saw in Denver last year for Broad, and he could take 17 holding penalties in a row, and then you have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get the sense from either the Steelers or certainly not from the young man himself that anybody's looking for a help type situation.
No, and nor should, like, I understand that's like fan thinking goes along with like, oh, Broderick's, he had a bad year last year. They just need to make sure that he can get through the year. It's a gigantic hole over there. Well, you can just stick Darnell Washington over there, and then that way it's a lot more shored up. Well, the problem when you do that is that you're literally taking away one entire player from your offense just to babysit. If a player is ever that bad, they'll just replace the player.
Just replace the player.
Like, you cannot do that in the NFL. You just can't. You can't
erase a player from your offense.
No, you cannot play 10 against 11 and expect to be a really, really good offense or even an average offense. You will be a bad offense if that's what you're doing.
Yeah. See, now John Frickle comes at us with more Cam stuff, but that's just a media thing. That's me and Chris doing that. We secretly texted John to come at us with more. Last one for today comes from Karma God. Wow, that's strong. DK with Aaron Rodgers. Do you think the Steelers will make more 4th and 1 attempts instead of punting or kicking a field goal? The easy, lazy answer to that is they need to stop with all the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1s that they put themselves into. They need to be a good first down team. They need to start getting 5-6 yards, and I mean on the ground.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. You can't just say you're a running team. I have a feeling we're going to see some of that from the opponent this weekend because they're determined to be a running team, whereas they haven't been one at all.
Mm-hmm.
That leads into a lot of 1-yard carries.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, it just does.
Yeah.
With the Steelers, they've got to find a way to start spreading people out a little bit. And some of that, it could be the pass setting it up, it could be play action, it could be, but you've got to keep teams honest and you got to do it on first down.
Yeah, I agree. They have to be a team that's better on first down, but I do think the one thing that this team does not want to do is pretty much do what you were just saying is not, we're going to be a running team. First down and 10, we're running the ball, and we're going to get to 2nd and 5 no matter what, because it doesn't always work out that way. But whenever you line up on 1st and 10 and you come out in certain formations that the defense might not know what you're going to do, then you, number one, can have the defense second guessing and you have a better chance of executing your play. And one way you can do that is by running the ball, being willing to run the ball, but also being willing to operate the quick game. Have Aaron Rodgers drop back foot hits, get the ball out, take the 4 or 5 yard gain. Everybody thinks that in order to be an efficient quarterback or a quarterback that makes a huge impact on offense, you have to be able to throw the ball down the field. Well, if you can, I know people hate the word dink and dunk, but if you can literally dink and dunk your way down the field, if you can get 5 yards here, 7 yards there, 4 yards here, 9 yards there, but you're completing every single one of them, why is that a problem? That's the old West Coast offense. And man, sometimes when the running game's not going, that could be an extension of it, and it can help keep defenses honest.
That's right. Guys, we're going to fly out to New Jersey tomorrow. Chris and I, we're going to cover that football game on Sunday. We're going to have stuff for you before the game. We're going to have stuff for you after the game. We're going to have stuff for you on Monday when we get back from New Jersey. This is just how we do things. We're with you all the time. We're even with listed ones. Listed ones is like he's now coming back and like, I didn't mean for you to take it personally and whatever else. You didn't take it personally. It's just literally incorrect. It's not a matter of taking it in one way or another. It was just actually incorrect. Cam 1,000% started this, he and his agent. And Cam has 1,000% continued with it. All we're doing is our jobs. We're just covering it. Nothing else to it here. Don't forget to download the app. Everybody, including you lifted ones. Love you right back, man. I'm being serious. Download the app. You can do that by going to Apple's App Store and just going into the search bar and typing in DK Pittsburgh Sports. You can do the same thing with an Android device by going into Google Play. When you're done with that, when you get that app into your device, I'm typing it here on my screen, I want you to email me directly.
And he'll answer them directly.
He will answer them the same day, too. Chris has watched me do it.
I have.
It takes some time because these are, there's been a lot of them, which is great. It's a nice problem to have. I'm not complaining.
See, I'm trying to get DK to listen to more of my music. And he's like, no, I got emails to answer.
Yeah, that's it. This is my email address. It's dk@dkpittsburghsports.com. I will sit right here after this program waiting for you to email me to get you a discount on the premium version of this app. We've gotten literally hundreds of you signed up here. We're getting a lot of additions to our community on our app, not YouTube, not Spotify, not anything else. Our app, the DK Pittsburgh Sports app, where Chris and I and the rest of our staff does our work. Guys, we'll talk to you. How will that work, Chris? Tomorrow night or Sunday morning?
Well, I'm probably Sunday morning.
We'll figure it out.
Probably Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning sounds right. Yeah, that's when we'll have our pregame show up from the Swamps. See you guys then.